Comic book fans, this is H.H. German from Sigma Comics, coming to you live from the greatest city in the world, New York City. You know it, I know it, we all know it. But we got a great topic today. We're going to talk about a crazy fight that's happening in a few months. But before we get started, you know what I have to do? Calico fans, I got to take a shot of the old Calico mug. Great as always. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button because I think you're going to like this video. I know you're going to like this video. And you know what's on Kickstarter right now? We've got the Here Comes Calico Volume 3 manga right now on Kickstarter. Run and get it because I know you already have Volume 1 and Volume 2 of these awesome manga. 200-page manga tankobon featuring the Calico, the baddest mofo in all of manga, kicking animal abusing anuses all across New York City boroughs, Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, Bronx, Staten Island. Okay, we got 1 and 2. Volumes 1 and 2 are on Sigma Comics. But you know what? Go on Kickstarter and get them all. You can get 1, 2, and 3 right now on Kickstarter.com. Hurry up and get those manga because you're going to love it. Let's get to the topic. Mike Tyson. Okay, he's fighting against a guy named, he's coming out of retirement to do a fight with this guy named Jake, whatever his name is. I don't even know his full name, this fucking guy. He's one of these guys on YouTube. I know his name is Jake. I don't even know the guy. I just, I don't know these people today. I don't know anything about these celebrities and YouTube stars or anything like that. I just know his name is Jake. It's going to be on the headline of this video. I just forgot the guy's name. And I'll probably remember it in the middle of this video. Mike Tyson, as everybody knows, was the baddest man on the planet. An absolute enigma in the ring, a pugilistic enigma. A lot of people, many people out there simply don't understand who and what Mike Tyson represents. A lot of people that just, follow fanfare, they just see this big burly guy and, they just see him as this beast in the ring. And he in his prime, in my opinion and the opinion of many, was simply unstoppable. Okay, and let me some of the people who are going to be watching this video aren't comic book readers because this is a very big topic. There goes a car alarm. This is New York City after all, so you're going to hear shit like this in the background. Yeah, so a lot of people in the audience who might be watching this video are hardcore comic book and manga readers because this is a general topic that has to do with fighting. And for those of you who don't know who I am, I actually am a former fighter. And not just any fighter, I was a fighter from New York City, just like Mike Tyson. So I'm very familiar with all the gyms. Basically the first line of circuit fighting that he did, which was in New York, I'm very keenly aware about all those gyms and what he had to go through coming up in the system. In short, I came up in the same system he did, outside of obviously his time in upstate New York, right? So basically the guy's hardcore and he's trained by the best. And I'm not just talking about the creme de la creme, which was, in my opinion, Customato. Being a fighter from New York City, we have access to, in my opinion, the best training in the country. All right, especially in the 80s and 90s, and I still think to this day, but most certainly in the 80s and 90s, and that's certainly when Tyson was doing his thing. Going back to the I would say the very early 80s into the 90s, right? Yeah, Customato found in Mike Tyson a brilliant, it was a brilliant example of what a piece of clay that he can mold into the perfect specimen for his style, which many of you know as the peekaboo style. It really wasn't called that, nor did D'Amato call it that. He called it tight defense. And it's when you kept your limbs very close to your body in a very compact aerodynamic manner to lessen the drag in the physical output and dexterity of the pugilistic movements in the ring. Okay, think of Mike Tyson coming at you, like a stealth bomber kind of situation. And fighters of his time, they were fighting like B-52s, okay? So this manner in which the man fought, which again, many people call the peekaboo style, which really was tight defense, was keeping everything close and having lots of great head movement and very coordinated footwork with speed, was brilliantly executed by none other than Mike Tyson. So he was much more than just a beast in the ring. He was the physical embodiment of one man, a genius in fighting. He was the absolute perfect specimen to carry out that tactic of tight defense. He did it with Customato did it with Floyd Patterson. The problem with Floyd was he just didn't have he was a bit too light to exhibit the level of power that would be truly effective with that style. Now, regardless, he was successful, and what did he become? A world champion. Okay, the next one was a Puerto Rican fighter from New York City. I think his name was Joe Torres, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong with the name, but I think I'm right, and you guys can correct me in the comments. Again, not really a big guy, not really compact. Again, you really needed that compact chassis and speed to do this. And once Customato found Mike Tyson, it was just absolute heaven for Customato. It's just a shame that the man was already quite advanced in years, and he didn't live to see the man that Mike Tyson would become a world champion at a very young age, okay? And of course, we all know the rest of the history, which wasn't that great. There was some obvious, malignant situations that happened with Tyson. But let's get to the topic, which is the fight against this guy named Jake. I forget this guy's name. Jake. I know he's one of these YouTubers. I know he's he's a millionaire, and this is like the thing now. You get on a YouTube and you start trolling things and all kinds of craziness. And speaking of trolling, what did the man do? He got a face tattoo. Okay. This fellow Jake, he's becoming even more popular now because I guess he's taken a liking to boxing, okay, to fighting. And he's made a decision, which I think is a marketing, promotional decision for his channel or channels that he has on YouTube, that it's a good idea for him to leverage his big size, brashness, and youth to court the fighting disciplines, in this case boxing, and he's racked up now a series of wins, mainly, or I think perhaps even almost entirely, against people who former well-known fighters, in some cases I think, if I'm not mistaken, champions. But these are, again, fighters that are way beyond their peaks. And this guy, of course, is in his youth. He is, physically in his peak. And the thing about it is, he's learning how to do this. Now, let me say this about the guy, Jake. Okay, it's even when you are, a lot of people say, oh well, these guys are over the hill. These fighters. Yeah, but you know what? They're still really. They're still like anybody off the street. These guys would knock them out. It's not like these guys are just bums. These guys happen to be old, these old, former champions or whatnot, that, 9 times out of 10, you're going down if you try to challenge these guys out on the street, okay? And, he's beating them. Not only is he beating them, he's actually knocking some of these people out. So it's not to say that the guy is a total bum here. I think it's a little bit on the unethical side to be challenging people that are just sitting around on their couches, drinking, Heinekens and relaxing. Of course you're not going to be. I mean, if this guy tried to jump in the primes of these fighters, he'd be in hospitals every single time. But I give the guy credit. You know, he is doing something for the sport in that he's giving these guys a chance to get back into the ring, get in shape, and do something. You know, I think that part of this is commendable. Look at Tyson, for instance. Tyson, I think, to this day, you know, the man is still, I mean, there's people who heard the announcement of this fight, and they were like, holy crap, is this really going to happen? But, you know, Mike Tyson is still in everybody's, you know, mouth. That man's name is still in everybody's mouth. Why? Because he was such an enigma. Okay, this many years after, and despite all the things, all the setbacks that he's had in his life, we all know that the man, I mean, again, a lot of people think this man is the best fighter in history. Okay, and that's a valid claim. All right, so this is an opportunity, I think, for him to get into the gym and get into an even higher level of fitness. I know he's been doing it he did it a couple of times. He got into the ring with Roy Jones Jr., and I think he got the better of Jr. there. You know, he looked pretty good, and I think the best thing about this whole situation, after I heard this nonsense that, you know, this guy, they're fighting, is that they're going to be using headgear and the bigger gloves, the 18-ounce gloves. Again, I was going to say, I was starting to say this before, but I got a little, I went down on a different tact. Yes, I'm a former fighter, okay? I didn't finish that point. So these are actually some gloves. This is funny, this story. These are gloves that I purchased. These are Kletos. Those real hardcore boxing fans know exactly what these are. If you got a pair of Kletos, you're definitely a you know, hardcore fighter or fight fan. I got these in 2020, and just a quick synopsis on me here. Again, you guys don't know me that well, a lot of you now in the audience, because you don't watch this channel. But I was in 2020, I was training for 7 Masters fights. Okay, I had fought back in the 90s. Okay, that was my prime. All right, and I got up to a, you know, pretty high level and whatnot. But in the amateur boxing system, then I fought pro in MMA. But, you know, it was a short-lived situation. And I always had a regret because I made it to 2 championship fights, and I didn't make it in either. And that was always a point of regret. So, you know, a few years back, 2020, I got myself in fantastic shape. The first time, you know, the 2 championship fights I had were the 2 losses I had in all the fights I had. And, you know, there was a bit of regret, so I started training. I said, you know what, let me cross this off the bucket list here. At least win 1 championship, you know, before I hang the gloves up for good. And, of course, I got the call in, it was March, you know, apologies, Mr. German, but all your fights are canceled. And, of course, this was COVID. This is 2020. And around that time, I was dating somebody who was a writer, and I was congratulating her because she just got a book deal. And she told me to get my idea off the shelf, and my idea was this, the Calico. And so far, we're doing really good with the series, and the rest is history. The bottom line is, I really wanted to fight, but COVID destroyed everything for you know, 3-4 years, and that was it. I'm, you know, too old to get back in the ring and do, you know, what I really want to do. So anyway, the bottom line, I just wanted to say that, explain my boxing bona fides. And in talking about the gloves, this is why I brought them out, because these are actually 16-ounce gloves, okay? So these gloves here, this is what you're going to see in sparring. Typically, when we spar, these are sparring gloves, we wear 16-ounce gloves, okay? Now you can see, I mean, I do have big hands, so it's probably not the best example. I just had surgery on this one, but I still got the tape thing on here. But, you know, this is the size of your fist. I mean, again, I have a pretty big fist, so these are actually pretty tight on me. All right, just to give you an example, these are 16s. So, you know, they give you decent padding, but it's good for sparring. Again, I have bigger hands, you know, than the average. I wear an extra large in gloves. All right, but these guys are going to wear 18-ounce gloves. All right. Again, these are 16s, and the fight is scheduled for 18-ounce gloves. And again, I wear an extra large. These are pretty tight on me. I think it's when I heard that, from a fan's perspective, obviously, I'd rather it be 12s. But from somebody who respects and really cares for the man, Mike Tyson, the legend, the truth is, and again, knowing the sport, how difficult it is, and the risks you take in there, especially, a man who's now, well into his 50s. I'm glad, frankly, that they're 18s. You might be saying to yourself, well, why the hell would you be saying that? He's going against Mike Tyson. Yeah, folks, but you know what? Mike Tyson isn't in his 20s anymore. He's in his 57. Okay, and by the time this fight kicks off, I don't know if he's going to be 58. I think he's around 57, 58, around there. He looks amazing, and he's easily stronger than most 30 or 40-year-olds. But the bottom line is, the way this other guy fights. I mean, I'm not worried about him getting hurt from the other guy, but the other guy's pretty tall, and he's been training now steady, I think, for a good 4 or 5 years. Listen, when I first heard about this other guy, I'm like, this guy's a joke, okay? And when I mean I first heard about him, I don't mean just now. I've known about this guy for a couple of years now. He has these YouTube shows. This guy Jake, okay? And he's got a brother. Him and the brother, I guess, do these shows on YouTube. All right, and I said, well, this guy's some kind of troll. What do you call this? Gen Z troll guy. He was in the early mid-20s or whatever, going around chasing girls in bikinis and all kinds of craziness, tattoos and jumping out off of, I don't know, these crazy things that people do now, TikTok shit. I said, yeah, this guy's some kind of jokester, and not that he isn't, but when I found out very recently that the man's been living in Puerto Rico, okay, that changes things quite a bit, and now it explains a lot why the man's been successful in the boxing ring. For those of you who don't know, Puerto Rico is easily one of the most focused places on the planet for boxing. I mean, if you want to cultivate, listen, if you want to learn how to fight, okay, I recommend 3 places, all right? You're going to learn how to fight, like the real deal. Like, you could take this anywhere and fight well, okay? 1, New York City, all right? Number 2, you could take an either or, Philadelphia or Detroit, okay? 3, Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico makes champions, okay? Puerto Rico builds champions. They don't build challengers, okay? They're there to win the fights, okay? So if you want to be serious for fighting, you move to Puerto Rico, okay? Not only is it beautiful there, but you're going to have access to great trainers, okay? This is the reason why people come to New York, because in New York we have everybody. New York is like living in Puerto Rico, Detroit, Philly. We have it all one shot. You see what I'm saying? But you're in Puerto Rico, you're getting pure pugilism there with great training. These people are serious here. All right, and this is why this kid's been going into these fights and winning these fights. Now I get it now. Okay, again, the guy, I saw him initially. The guy looks like a bum, some kind of stupid kid who just wants followers. And yeah, he's picking his opponents there that are over the hill. But listen, the guy's using footwork. He's getting out of the ring. He's using some fundamentals. They're teaching him things. They're teaching him how to jab these fighters. I've seen what he's doing in there. He's doing the fundamentals. He's doing the jabs. Okay, he looking like he's speeding up his hands, and he's using his legs to get out of the way. All right. Now, those of you who know how Tyson fights, okay, he's gonna try to come in on you, okay, and throw those hands. Okay, I don't know what this guy's chin is capable of, because I don't think they've been hitting him too hard. Okay, I've seen some of these not the whole fights, but clips that I've seen. They're not hitting this guy hard. Okay, so I don't know what kind of chin he's gonna have against Mike Tyson. But remember, Mike Tyson is 57 now. So I don't know what kind of hot sauce, what kind of spice, Mike is going to be shooting at this guy. All right. Now, With all that said, okay, as a fighter, as somebody who did this, like seriously, I'll say it again. I'm happy that they're doing this with bigger gloves. I don't think this guy Jake is going to be a threat to Mike Tyson. I don't think so. But the man, once again, is 57, 58. I hope he's getting his vitals checked out, his organs, heart, and everything before he gets into this fight. He's drinking lots of water. He's doing the training, and slowly work himself into this situation. And frankly, seriously, just once this thing is done, stop doing this crap. Hopefully, they make. The only good thing I think about this is the fact that this guy Jake, he brings a lot of people are going to want to see this. I think because he has built up such rancor out there in the public, because I think he's sort of like a heel type of guy, like one of these people that you love to hate kind of thing. I think a lot of people will pay for this because a lot of people are going to assume Mike Tyson's just going to kill this guy. I don't think that's going to happen. Not necessarily. I think it could happen. I mean, I think it's more likely that Mike Tyson is going to, hurt this guy than Jake is going to hurt Mike Tyson. That said, in boxing, you never know. Okay, anybody with fists always has that puncher's chance, and this guy's he's a pretty tall guy. He moves well, and again, you got an older man in front of you here. Even if it's Mike Tyson, the guy he could land a shot. Mike Tyson could be coming in. There could be a connection, and all of a sudden we have a wobbly Tyson. Again, a wobbly, middle-aged Mike Tyson. And you never know. He follows it up, and all of a sudden we got a whole different scenario in front of us here. Okay? Again, this is why I say the good thing is they're wearing headgear and they got the sparring gloves. Again, I agree with you. The fan in me says take them off, take the headgear off, and give him 10 or 12 ounce gloves. But the man who's actually a real former fighter who knows what this is all about and knows that this man is well over 50, okay, and who cares about Mike Tyson and cares about fighters, especially their main asset, the heart and the brain, okay. I want these guys to live long lives, especially someone like Tyson, who's encouraged millions of people out there to improve and better themselves, okay? So, what do I think is going to happen in the fight? All right? It's not that easy. So, let's break it down. We got this guy, Jake. He's in his 20s, mid-20s. He's getting stronger. I've seen him. Okay, I think he's like 20, 25, 26 around there. So, he's mid-20s, right just at where the peak, okay? Right in the sweet spot for your peak. Okay, some people peak a little later. But I think that he's learning well. You can see the guy is learning what he's doing. Okay, he's got some pop to him, and he uses his height well. I've seen him with the footwork, moving back. Apparently, he's moving well, and he's got his strength there. I don't think his chin has been tested, frankly, in what I've seen. And again, I haven't seen these full fights, but I've seen all the clips that are out there. Okay, but in seeing those things, I've seen a guy who's got the fundamentals, okay, at least. Just the basics, all right? I think if he comes in and listens to the coaching staff, plays it conservatively, doesn't take any crazy cuts, unless, Tyson's hurt, I think he'll survive, and I think what's going to happen is when the bell rings, the first bell, I think he's going to come out, he's going to play defensively, and he's going to try to survive in there, okay? And when he has the opportunities, if he sees them, I think he'll take them. But he's not going to take too big a risk. That's what I think is going to happen. What does that yield? Traditionally, it yields boring fights. But your opponent is Mike Tyson in this situation, all right? So that's not necessarily the case. For Tyson, I would like for him to come out measured like he used to early in his career. Tyson didn't always come out and try to knock your head off. Okay, earlier in his career, what would happen is he'd keep his hands high, and he'd move his upper body very well at the waist. Okay, so it's not just your head, it's your waist. Okay, so I think if he comes in with his hands high, conservatively with a nice steady jab, giving head movement that this man's not used to. I mean, I'm sure they're going to put, being that he's training with Puerto Rico in the Puerto Rican camp, they're certainly going to put him through that. That being Jake, so he will be at least partially ready for this. But you know, when you have the real deal in front of you, there's nothing like the real deal. Mind you, that real deal is now older in his career, and I'm saying real deal. That's actually the nickname for another legendary fighter. So that's not who I mean here. I just mean the real article. You know, Mike Tyson moving at the waist versus whatever props that the Puerto Rico training camp is going to give Jake there. I would like to see Mike come out with his hands high, moving his waist, and feeling this kid out. Okay, you know, touching him a few times, and then getting inside and just, you know, working inside. I don't think I've seen good infighting from this Jake guy. I haven't seen it. I think what he does is he uses his reach to drop these long power bombs. Typically, I think it's like a right hand he throws. Well, that's neutralized once you got Mike Tyson right in front of you. So I think if Tyson infights him, which I think he's going to have 10 trillion times better infighting than this guy Jake, I think he could beat him just fighting him close. Just keep working him close. I don't know how many rounds they're going to go. But I think just on the infighting, if the game is fought inside, okay, and Tyson does not let this become a range fight, I think Tyson wins this one very, very easily. And frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if he wins by knockout. Okay, by decision or knockout if the fight is very close in a phone booth, because I don't think, you know, infighting is something it takes many years to learn how to do that. Okay, and the last thing you want to be doing is infighting with someone like Mike Tyson. So I'm very sure that the Puerto Rican boxing training staff there is impressing upon this fellow Jake to keep the fight at a range. Okay, very much like what Lennox Lewis did against Mike Tyson. Okay, he's not letting him set up, and he's interfering the combinations with the piston jab. Okay, and that's the thing. The Puerto Rican boxing staff there, they're going to have lots of video to use against, you know, there's lots of videos out there on how to beat Mike Tyson. And I think the best one for Jake to watch is the Lennox Lewis fight, frankly, right? Especially since, you know, he is a big guy like Lewis. And the truth is that, you know, the way this guy Jake fights is not too dissimilar to a Lennox Lewis. Now, I'm obviously not comparing them. I'm just saying in terms of what the skills, the strengths. He's a tall guy. He's got range. He does have a quick enough jab that works, and he's got that powerful, you know, overhand right, and that's Lennox Lewis to a T in terms of, you know, the overall strengths, right? Obviously, Lennox Lewis has way more, you know, skill sets that made him a champion. But does this guy Jake have the general basics of strengths that Lennox Lewis had? Yeah, absolutely. So he can adjust on that. If he could make his fight against Mike Tyson like what Lewis did to Tyson, keep him out there, interrupt the combinations, and then, you know, boom, come in with the overhand rights and the uppercuts again from a distance. He could win the fight that way. Remember, who's going to have the fresher legs? Who's going to have the stamina? All that is on Jake's side. Remember, so that's why I'd really like for Tyson to come in very good shape. And you know, you never know. I think right now, looking at it just on paper, I think that Tyson is going to be smart enough to get inside on this guy. I don't think he's going to respect the guy's power enough to stay on the outside. But you never know. You know, when those 50s hit you, I can't say it because I'm not 50 yet, but it's my 50s are coming very, very soon. Okay, so you don't know what age does to you in a boxing ring. Okay, once you start getting hit a couple of times and now you're in your 50s, you might not want to go inside. and just say, you know what? I'm getting, 15, 20 million, whatever they're going to do for this. I'm just going to play it safe and get this money and go home and party afterwards, all right? You never know. But I'm saying if Tyson shows up and he actually wants to fight, if he really wants to fight, okay, and he's capable of shaking off Father Time in there, once those punches hit, if they do, and he stays in there inside with this guy Jake for the whole fight, and he puts together some really nice combinations, he could wear this guy down, okay? And it could be a really fun, interesting fight. So at this point, the question, before I say at this point, but the question is, will he do that? At this point, here's what I'm going to say. Okay, I think that this guy Jake, from what I've seen, okay, again, initially I called this guy troll. I think this guy really wants to do something here. I think this guy's really, on some kind of crazy mission where he wants to put down these, legendary fighters, despite the fact that these guys are old. That doesn't matter to him. I think he wants to do something with himself. So I think right now, they're really working him hard in Puerto Rico. And I think he wants to show himself really well. I think he is going to connect against Tyson. I just hope, I hope Tyson holds up. Of course, I want to say Tyson by knockout. But again, this is an older Mike Tyson. So here's what I'm going to say. If the fight is kept at a range, I think this kid has a shot of winning. I really do. I think this guy Jake, I'm going to say it, I think the guy Jake has a shot of winning, because let me tell you, when Father Time gets a hold of you, and especially if you got millions sitting there waiting for you, it's very easy to just say, you know what, let's just move around. It is an exhibition match after all. Why go crazy? So let me sit out there, throw some shots here and there and make the crowd go wow, and then it is what it is. I think it's a very easy thing for someone like Mike Tyson to do that, unless the guy comes in on fire, and he is on a mission, okay? So I think right now I'm leaning towards Tyson by decision, just on his skill set. But listen, if it's a deranged fight, I think I'm going to go ahead and give it to the kid. I really am, because he's moving around. He's going to move around. He's going to hold. This is what I see happening. You want to say? This is what I see happening. Okay, bell rings. The guy's going to run around, throw these jabs. When Tyson gets crazy with the punches, he's going to hold him up. He's going to tie him up. All right, the referee's going to come in, separate him, and rinse cycle for 3 minutes. They're going to do that. I don't know how many rounds it's going to be, but there's your fight. That's what's going to happen. Tyson doesn't have the speed he used to have anymore to knock these guys out quickly. But if he does touch him and hurt this kid, he's going to go. Because Tyson is a brilliant finisher, or at least was. But he does know that, even though he's slower now, again, he's got to catch him. If he catches this kid with at least one of those solid punches, that kid's not going to hold up. Okay, he's going to be wobbling. And once you're wobbling in front of Mike Tyson, you are very, very serious trouble. All right, I don't care if it's 18-ounce gloves or whatnot. But if it's a range fight, I give it to Jake. If Mike is consistently able to penetrate the wall of the jab, and he's able to not let this kid hold him, I give it to Mike. Right now, though, I'm going to give you my opinion. I think this kid's going to win on points, just because he's going to move around. He's not going to stand in front of Tyson. He's going to move. He's going to hold. That's why I think I'm leaning more towards giving it to Jake. Okay, because it's not. Remember, this is not a 10 or 12 round fight. At least I don't think. This is an exhibition match, which I'm sure they cap it. I'm sure they're going to cap this at like 4 or 5 rounds or something like that. So it's very easy for this kid to walk away, with the come in with good cardio and run around the whole time, and then hold, and then throw a few pot shots, and then try for a few bombs once he sees that Tyson starts getting a little winded. So that's why I'm leaning more towards the kid. In terms of politics, in promotion, how something like this is going to wind up, let me tell you this. Tyson's in a no-lose situation. This is win-win for him because if he wins the fight, okay, everybody's going to be talking about this for the rest of the year, okay, and beyond. All right, because remember, this kid's got millions of followers on YouTube and social media. I don't think it's just YouTube. I think he's got a bunch of other social media. So I think that if Tyson wins, especially if he knocks the kid out, you know how many people would love to see this kid Jake on the floor bleeding, okay? It's like twitching. You know, millions of people would love to see this kid. So I think if Mike Tyson catches this kid and leaves him twitching, all right, and bleeding, let me tell you, that's going to... everybody already knows Mike Tyson, but I think that's going to open Tyson up to a whole new generation of youth. This Gen Z crowd right now that doesn't know much about Mike Tyson, okay? They only know what their father or uncles or older brothers or whatever told them about him. And I think that's what this does. It makes Mike Tyson popular for a new generation. And you're talking about even more millions of people that know who he is, okay? I think that's what happens for Tyson if he wins. If he loses, you know, he could say, well, it's not even he could say, everybody that supports him can say, well, listen, the guy, he's older, he's going to be 60 soon, so of course he lost, okay? So, and I don't think, there's people out there saying, why would you ruin your legacy? I don't think it's going to tarnish his legacy in the slightest. What, because he got in the ring in his late 50s against, you know, a kid who's clearly, you know, impassioned to do this, and he's already beaten some former world champions. Again, I see the situation for what it is. This is a YouTuber, okay, who's like a troll or whatever. Now he's even got the face tattoo that he's doing for this crazy promotion that he's doing. But it's pretty clear that he's paying attention in that ring, okay, in the gym. He's paying attention. He's doing what the trainers are telling him, and he's going to have to, because those trainers in Puerto Rico, they don't F around. If you don't follow what the training is, you're out. Okay, so that's why, that's the only thing that changes it for me, is the fact that he's got competent trainers that are respected, not just by me, but from all around the world. Puerto Rico is a top boxing destination. Okay, if you want to learn how to fight, if you want to do it well, you go to Puerto Rico. Okay, and those trainers are for real there. And they're not gonna accept or tolerate you doing this for some kind of media shit or slacking off. This is life. Boxing is life in Puerto Rico. All right, just so you know. All right, so win or lose, Tyson. This helps Tyson's, you know, presence, if you will, right? His image and presence further than it already is. I don't think, you know, I think it's good for the kid because he's fighting against Mike Tyson. So if he wins the fight, sure, that's going to be great for him. But, you know, he's also going to get more detractors, which I think that's what he's looking for anyway. You know, there's some positive to bad press too with a certain bit of the population, you know. Muhammad Ali did this back in the day, who I think it was Gorgeous George, that he emulated. It was a wrestler back in, I think, the 50s or something like that, that he purposely tried to rile up crowds to get them against him, you know, because they knew more and more people would you know, it would bring more people to the arenas, and that's exactly, you know, the playbook that Ali did. And look, he became one of the most beloved fighters in the history of the sport, and he transcended boxing, Muhammad Ali. You know, absolutely, the man transcended boxing. Fans all around the world. I think at one point he was the most popular man on the planet. I mean, this was boxing back in the day. The bottom line is that you know, this guy Jake's you know, image profile is going to be raised if he wins the fight. If he loses the fight, you know, the same, but to a much lesser extent. And I think the bigger winner here is going to be Tyson, because I think he's going to win either way. He gets a platform, he gets a paycheck, and he gets an introduction to a whole new generation. So I think this is why, if I was Tyson's agent, I could see why they accepted this, okay, and why they did it. So all I could say as a result of this is, you know, thank you to this guy Mike for giving this guy Jake for giving Mike Tyson this opportunity to stay current in the zeitgeist and you know, keep him current in pop culture, and you know, give this guy some money, because the truth is he's taught a lot of us many techniques out there, and he did follow Customado's you know, fighting system to a T. And again, it's taught so many of us different techniques, those of us who love fighting. All right, so I think that's where I'm going to wrap it up. You know, what do you think? Tell me in the comments, who do you think is going to win this fight? I went on for a little bit, but you know what? I'm a real passionate fan of the sport. I've been watching boxing since I was a little kid. I mean, I remember 3 years old, I was watching fights. I was watching Wide World of Sports on ABC with my dad. And man, I love boxing. And of course, I used to be a boxer as well. I know the sport pretty well. But I've unofficially hung up the gloves, because I've gotten older and I have a new focus, which is this right here: fighting animal abuse through comics and manga. And this is our manga series right now, folks. You are gonna love it. Go on Kickstarter right now. Seriously, guys, if you don't read comics or manga, I don't care. Get these manga. They are absolutely awesome. And they feature Hector Gill, the Calico, going up against people who abuse and kill animals, and he beats the living crap out of them. This is not for kids. This is rated M for mature. Okay, the manga are actually rated T16. Okay, the comics that we have, are actually rated M for mature. Look at that incredible cover there. Look at this one. These are our comics that are on sigmacomics.com. But go on Kickstarter, because that's where we need you right now to support this wonderful series. Here comes Calico manga. The manga are absolutely awesome. 200-page manga tankobons each. If you get the third one, the volume 3, it's going to be 600 pages. It's crazy. Get on Kickstarter right now, and you know what? When you do that, you're helping our fight against animal abuse. Guys, thank you for your support. Keep fighting against animal abuse. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Tell me what you think about this crazy fight coming up. I think it's going to be in June or July. It's a few months from now. Hopefully, both fighters can come out healthy and unscathed. All right? Listen, guys, keep on fighting for animals.